So another medium man's flawed argument coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense Logical Reason. And as always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. So it's no secret that there's a high rate of fatherlessness amongst blacks in America. And it's said that 70% of all black homes with families have no father. Now, men are always the ones who basically are looked down upon when it comes down to this, the ones who always get criticized and demonized for this, that. But in reality, it really truly should be the other way around. It should be women who should be demonized in reality. Now, the media man posted a video addressing this issue.
Within one generation after the welfare state, that had dropped down to a minority. So that the majority of black kids today are raised in one-parent households.
So this is from Bowling Green State University, National Center for Family and Marriage Research, published in 2022. Race and ethnicity among fathers of all race/ethnicities considered here, a majority had only co-residential children, meaning that they live with their children 100% of the time. And right here, you can see only co-residential for black men, black fathers, 55%. Is that the majority or the minority? Just based off of that 1% alone. So 55% of black men live with their children 100% of the time. That's it. Not 70% out of the household, not 20% within the household, not the minority of black fathers not in the household. 55% just using that alone. And don't worry, I'm gonna break everything down. So when you go do your research for yourself, yes, I'm saying when you go to the Bowling Green State University Marriage and Family Dynamic Report, you will understand what this actually means. We already covered 55% live with their children 100% of the time. That's not in question. That's a fact, okay? But 18% live with both co-residential and non-co-residential children. Live with some, but not all of their children. So you know the black men who may have children with two different women, they live with one of their children, but they don't live with the other. And as the picture illustrates here, you can see it's a little dynamic. Very simple, right? So part of that 18% belongs in the 55%. Okay, now you guys understand? All right. Now, 26% only non-co-residential children. You see the black man by himself. These fathers do not live with any of their minor children. Their children live with the mother or someone else. And then they may see their children regularly, occasionally, or rarely. Involvement varies widely.
Now, I don't doubt this stat at all, that 55% of men living the children of black men living the children with their homes. I'm willing to agree that this is the case. Matter of fact, I myself was in that 55%. So his argument though is that, well, if 70% of black homes are fatherless, how can 55% of men live in their home with their children? Again, to him, that argument doesn't make any sense. Now, the problem with this is that two things can be right at the same time. It is very possible for both of these to be true, that 55% of black men with children live in homes with their children, but 70% of all the homes amongst black people with families are fatherless. Both these things can be true at the same time, very possibly true. Now, about 46% of black men have fathered children, whereas about 61% of black women have. And as the age decreases, that gap actually gets wider. So it's well known by now that there's a small percentage of black men producing a lot of children with a large percentage of black women. And these are the Pookies and the Ray-Rays of society, the Pookies and the Ray-Rays of the black community. Something like 21% of black men are responsible for producing like 69% of black children. Again, we know that story in Memphis in which 3 men fathered 78 children for 46 different women. Now, how many of those men, those 3 men, were in any of them children's lives? I say not any of them. They too busy laying up with these chicks and producing more kids. And my question is, you tell me that these women didn't know that? None of these women know this. None of these women, because the common excuses that they give for these women is that they didn't know. I'm sorry, you can't tell me that these 46 women didn't know that these 3 men had all these kids by the other different women. Which is why I say a lot of the blame should be placed on women. Again, not that these 3 men don't bear any responsibility. We put all responsibility on those dudes and all shame on those guys, those 3 men. But we've always done. The problem is that we have never put it on women. And it's the women who also laying up with them and produce those children. But the fact is, if this is a common trend, which is very common, look at all these rappers out here, all these celebrities, and again, in all these pookies and areas all over the country in black communities in the hood. It is very possible for the majority of the black men who have children to live in a home with their children, but 70% of all the homes, black homes or family to go fatherless. When we look at information like this, that's 78 kids who probably didn't have a father around. I don't know if these women got with other men, but I seriously doubt many of them did, because like I said, they live in the hood, and in the hood, this is just par for course. And I guarantee you there are more men in the community who are doing the same thing. May not be 3 men producing 78 kids, but there's a bunch of dudes producing a lot of kids by several different females. So, like I said, if you look at this data here, this is why it is absolutely quite possible for 55% of black men with children to live in a home for their children, but 70% of homes will be fatherless. And the thing about it is that the median man actually reported on this before. So how did he report on this case and the fact that there's a small percentage of men producing children by a large percentage of black women? How can he report on this but not understand how it's possible for both of these to be true? Regardless, this is another flawed argument. He puts out a lot of good information, I give him that, but this is another flawed argument on his part. It is quite possible for 70% of all children to be raised in a home without a father, looking at these numbers. Anyway, y'all, that's my 2 cents on this. And as always, until next time.